Good evening. Welcome in to the press box overlooking Faurot Field here in Columbia, Missouri. Gabe DeArmond here with you on the Yuengling postgame live show after a season-opening 51-0 Mizzou win over Murray State. Jarod Hamilton going to join me here momentarily. See, we already got tons of people in here. We got a lot of comments to get to. We're taking voicemails, all kinds of things. There you can see it, 51-0 Mizzou over Murray State. We will talk about this one for however long it takes. I want to bring Jarod in right here. Jarod, a couple doors down from me here in the press box. Jarod, we'll start the way we always start, man. Kind of big picture takeaways, anything that stands out to you from this one.
Well, I mean, obviously when you put 51, that's what everybody's eyes go to, and that makes sense. Offense is, that's why people watch, but that defense, I mean, I know it's Murray State, but to me, it's just like that's what you're supposed to do. Like you're supposed to handle it like that. I think my first year in 2022 they had Abilene Christian, and it was 34-17. Kind of. I know that's a different team. I'm not saying they're the same team, but it was like they won, and they won by double figures, but it wasn't dominating, stuff like that. And so I just think about this year and how with 81 total yards, the defense just really locked up, and the fact that the final drive was all freshmen except one player, and they still held the shutout, like that's pretty impressive for the defense, for sure.
Yeah, I think look, if you had a jersey you played in this game, I didn't realize it, but Drinkwitz did say on their final drive, 10 of the 11 players on there were freshmen. The other was Philip Roche, still had a shutout. Offensively, Brady Cook and company were out, I think, at 38-0 early in the third quarter. Luther Burden, pretty light workload, to be quite honest. Second half was a lot of Daniel Blood, a lot of Kewan Lacey, a lot of Tavoris Jones, backup offensive lineman. That's what you want out of this game. Like, what did we say the early part of last year, that Abilene Christian game you mentioned? Like, these games didn't get out of hand. We never really got to see Sam Horn in a situation where he could go run the offense. We never really got to see the backup running back. The number, and we talked about this in the third quarter. Last year, Missouri had 3 players score a rushing touchdown. Tonight, Missouri had 4 players score a rushing touchdown in week 1. That is not necessarily a sign that this team is deeper, but I mean, their third defensive drive of the game, they had 6 backup players in. They have a lot of bodies to run out there, and these first 4 weeks are about finding out, okay, which ones can they rely on?
Yeah, so like running backs, the fact that all 5 scholarship players got in, like that's not something, I'm not gonna lie, that's not something I was thinking was going to happen, just because we haven't seen I don't think DeForest Jones played last year. I mean, if he did, it was only a couple, offensive snaps. So he hasn't got a touch, I feel like, since 2022. So the fact that Kewan Lacey was second in rushing tonight, I think he had 42 yards, 5 for 42 or something like that. I don't got the stats in front of me, but I feel like that was it. Even though it was with the third string, the fact that he even played and he was getting those carries. Jamal Roberts had 3, Tavoris had 6. I think Marcus Carroll had 5 or 6, and then Nate had 11 or something like that. Like, everybody got involved in the running back room, and I just feel like throughout the team, no matter what position, it actually feels like what Drink said is like he feels confident in his 2 deep. I kind of see why he feels confident in his 2 deep, because if you told me, like, for example, Corey Flagg being out there on defense at linebacker and stuff like that, if you told me that guy's a 2 deep, or if you told me the first team and the second team switched, I wouldn't have known. What fooled me?
Totally agree. Hey, quick shout out. We've already hit 200 live viewers here, so appreciate all you guys being here. It's 11:15 after a bad game. Like, there were barely 200 people in the stadium at the end of the game. That's not an insult. I wouldn't have been around at the end of 51-0. So appreciate everybody joining us. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the things that will help spread the word. Need to give our thanks to our friends at Yuengling who are sponsoring this all year long. It is the Yuengling postgame show for a reason. We want you to go to Yuengling.com, learn a little bit more. You need to be 21, but go to Yuengling.com, learn a little bit more about America's oldest brewery. Lager up, always enjoy responsibly. So thanks to Yuengling, thanks to all you guys for being here, and want to ask. We've got a new guy joining us this year, new member of the team. Sham is our producer behind the scenes. Want to ask you maybe to be able to get to some of these comments and and throw up some of the reaction from the fans, and Jarod and I will kind of get to react into some of that. If you can just go through that. We're also taking voicemails. If you want to go to speakpipe.com /Power Mizzou, you can leave us kind of your reaction to the game there. We'll get through those. What I want to do for the first 20-30 minutes is kind of get Jarod main takeaways and get him out of here and let him write, and then I'm going to hang out here with you guys and finish up the show. Jarod, I really thought let's be honest, this game was over after 5 minutes and 19 seconds. The play that kind of ended this is Toriano Pride pick six 8 seconds after a touchdown run. I don't even remember who it was by, but it's 21-0 5 minutes in, and at that point Missouri literally could have pulled every starter and handed the ball off the rest of the night, and the game was over.
Well, I think it was, and what I'm going to write about, it was over a little bit earlier than that. So the element of surprise, that was Murray State's thing. I counted, it was 4 game minutes and 10 real life minutes. That's how long it took Missouri to figure them out. They had the onside kick to start. They ain't get it. Plus they had a penalty. So that was the first thing. Missouri walks them down, six play drive, 42 yards, touchdown. Then you get the 4th and inches stop. Once they did that, they seen everything Murray State was going to probably try to do, and they handled it. And then, they got the rushing. It was Noel who had a rushing touchdown right before Toriano got the pick six.
Okay.
So to me, it was over well before that. So if you started watching this game at 7-11, I think the game was already decided. So that's the main thing for me. Transfers, tons of transfers. I mean, obviously a lot of people got to play, but Nate Noel, Marcus Carroll, Corey Flagg, Toriano Pride, Chris McClellan, the offensive line, Caden Green, Marcus Bryant, a lot of transfers were doing what they were brought in to be. That, missing piece or missing pieces to whatever this puzzle Eli Drinkwitz is trying to make, they kind of filled their role, and they showed a little bit like, this is what happens when you bring this in, and they filled in nicely. I didn't see too much drop off from last year in certain spots. Everybody loves Cody Schrader, and he did well, but that running back room behind that offensive line, it looked great to me.
Yeah, no question. The running backs really, I think the takeaways from this game, and I want to be careful. It's Murray State. They're a bad FCS team. We get it. But like you said, they did what they're supposed to do against a team like this. But takeaways to me are twofold. Number one, the defense. I don't care who the other team is. Shutouts are impressive. This is Missouri's first shutout since 2019. All it takes for a shutout to go away is one busted coverage, one slip, one turnover at the wrong time. And so the shutout is impressive. The other thing to me is that running game. Look, Marcus Carroll and Nate Noel, they look good, man. And Jamal, I was impressed with Kawan Lacey in the fourth quarter. Jamal Roberts scored a touchdown, all that, but this is really going to be a two-headed rushing attack. This is Nate Noel and Marcus Carroll are going to be the guys, and they had 6 catches between them. They ran the ball well. You and I talked. I think Carroll, like a lot of people think it's this thunder and lightning thing where Carroll almost got this reputation as just to pound it between the tackles. I mean, that guy's got some wiggle, man.
He does. I mean, first off, it's ironic. We just talked to him the other day, and he said Marshawn Lynch was his favorite guy, so he wants to run through people's face. His first carry, 20 yards, he runs through somebody's face, like he says, and then a couple plays later, he gets into the end zone. But, yeah, he got a couple carries in there where we said, is that Noel? Oh, no, it's Carroll. And so he has that ability to be a little shifty in the open space. So, I mean, again, we've heard all this talk about Noel since spring ball, and deservedly so. It's been fantastic for them, and he does what they want him to do. But Marcus Carroll was a top 10 rusher in the entire country. 1350 for 13, 14 touchdowns. He can play. And then Nate Noel, the fact that he tied second in receptions with 4 for 20 yards, the fact that you even have him out there to be, somebody throws a flat, or I think they can do a lot more things with motioning them out, to the line and being a wide receiver. The fact that you even have that, another level of the offense that I don't think necessarily they could have really done with Cody Schrader. Schrader can catch, and we saw that a little bit in Tennessee, but that's not his forte. So the fact that you got that out of a Noel and a little bit out of Carroll, and you can do those things, next level of the offense. So
yeah.
Oh, I'm good.
Yeah, I don't know. I just got a message that the host muted my mic. I thought I was the host. I don't really know how that happened, but anyway, I kind of lost my train of thought, but let's get to the. I don't want to say negative, but I've seen some comments about it. Look, Brady Cook missed four potential touchdown passes on long throws. I thought one of them looked like maybe there was some confusion on the route Mookie Cooper was running, but he had Luther Burden, he had Marquise Johnson, and he was a little bit long. I mean, no big deal. I will make less of a big deal than I think a lot of people are going to make on this.
I mean, they won 51-0. If you're making a big deal out of this, it's a you problem. I mean, that's simply what it is. I mean, and here, let's look at a bright side. He's got some of the fastest receivers, in the league, and he overthrew them. He's overthrowing Luther. He's overthrowing Marquise Johnson. So all the stuff, if you didn't think he had the arm strength and stuff like that, he's got the arm strength. He's now 2 years removed from that shoulder injury. So, I mean, he threw the ball well besides the deep balls. Obviously, that's something they've been working on in camp. And Drink said he had a good camp, unlocking the deep ball and making those plays. So Drink also said, first games, there was going to be some miscues. There was a few penalties out there. There were some misplays out there. But relatively, I mean, this was almost like a near flawless game. Like, we're picking 4 throws that Cook didn't do well, but other than that, he played really good.
Yeah, and like John says, I mean, better overthrowing than other. Like, you can't both say Brady Cook doesn't have a strong enough arm and then complain, like you said, that he's overthrowing Marquise Johnson and Luther Burden. It felt to me early like maybe they were trying to force Luther a little bit. Really, you know what I mean? Just really getting him involved and all that. And I get it, but this team's got a lot of playmakers, and it will come naturally. And I still watching Luther. I mean, he has 5-yard plays that are amazing because he has these plays where he shouldn't be able to get to the line of scrimmage, and all of a sudden he's splitting tackles and getting there.
Yeah, there was one. I can't remember if it was like a RPO screen pass, but he caught the ball in the flat, and we just thought he was going to be down, and then he makes a couple of moves, and now he's got a gain of 4, 5, 6 yards. So, I mean, of course he can do that. Is this MU Nuke says if Brady can't compete? I'm guessing that's complete shot plays against Ohio State. Who can he complete them against? Again, that's more of it's the first game of the season, and they know who their opponent is. I told Gabe this during the game. It's like when you're playing NCAA or Madden or whatever video game, and you're up by so much, you just start doing stuff that you just start forcing it. Like you throw it up, you see what you can do, what happens, and that doesn't mean he doesn't need to be more accurate. But I don't think it's one of those situations where it's like, well, damn, Brady, you can't. Like, I don't think it's the same. You can't really consider it the same. In this aspect. I mean, it's just the first game of the season. He didn't make the throws, but at least, again, better to overthrow him. He didn't have any turnovers than to
and he wasn't close. There was never a throw that you thought, that could have been picked.
And that's a big improvement, too, because, I mean, my first year on the beat, how many times did we just look at each other and it's just like, that should have been picked? Last year, he definitely cleaned that up a lot. Of course, he didn't have no turnover. He didn't have a pick until like week 5, week 6 at LSU versus LSU, but today I didn't think of anything. It was just like you missed the play. That was all I really saw.
And like this is going to come off as like excuse making, and I don't mean it to be, but guys, 55-yard throws are hard to complete, right? I mean, it's not just as easy as, oh, there he is. He's got 2 steps. I'm just going to throw this 55 yards and drop it right into him. I mean, the best in the world don't complete, the majority of those throws. I literally can't really think of anything to be super concerned about out of this game tonight. I mean, if you want to nitpick and say, the second quarter, they kind of sleepwalked, and I guess you can, but once you get once you're up 21-0 with 5.5 minutes gone, everybody in that stadium knows that game is over, and it is really hard to keep up that level of intensity.
Yeah, they did well. To be fair, they did have 3 possessions where it was really sloppy. Luther Burden with the jet sweep thing with the fumble, and you were talking about this in the press box. If it's the pass, the little toss pass or whatever, it's an incomplete pass.
And to be fair, some people on Twitter did tell me like, "Hey, I thought that should have been a pass." I don't know. I didn't see a replay, but
okay, yeah. So you got stuff like that, and then they had 2 consecutive punts. Now, again, this is where the defense comes in. It was, I forgot what did we say, but basically 8-9 minutes left in the fourth quarter. That's the first time Murray State crossed the 50-yard line. They got to the Missouri's 47-yard line and punted like immediately. Like it was they weren't long over there. So nothing happened. Nothing turned out, bad from those, but they did have a little stumble. But it's Murray State. Everybody's getting the ball. I mean, the game is already in hand 10 minutes after the game starts. I mean, it's just nitpicking.
Yeah, so we show you asked, was Murray State's offense just that bad, or should we take anything away from the defense? I don't know. What do you think?
What I would say about the defense, again, and I kind of said it earlier, is just depth. That 2 deep is actually deep because, I mean, is it Corey Flagg? Is it Tristan Newsom? Regardless, somebody's getting hit. Is it Marvin Burks or is it Sidney Williams? I'm not really saying, oh man, I can tell when the backup is in. So I would say that again, but Murray State was 2-9. There's a reason they have 65 new players on this team, a new head coach, 2 new offensive coordinators, and a new DC. Like there's a reason for that. So they're not good, but I think for me, I would look and say this team has some depth. Wasn't proven against much, with this team, but they have something. You can see it.
I would say 2 things. First of all, I said coming into this game, what I wanted to see was Missouri dominate on the line of scrimmage. They absolutely did. Chris McClellan just ate somebody alive and forced a strip sack, right? The reason the pick 6 for Toriano happened is Zion Young comes off the edge and just absolutely destroys the quarterback. Also, I just looked this up. Jarod, without looking at the stat sheet, what would you guess Murray State's longest play of the night was?
7 yards.
9 yards. They had a 9-yard run and a 9-yard catch. They never had a 10-yard play the entire game. They averaged 1.6 yards per snap. I mean, guys, that's not like that is almost impossible to do because at some point during the game, somebody's going to get loose for just a 19-yard catch or a 15-yard run, and that's going to screw that average up. That never happened tonight. So that was literally snap 1 to snap whatever it was, 60 or whatever, and they didn't run that many plays, but 47, whatever it was. Domination from the first play to the last play, and 10 freshmen on the field, and they didn't score. I know this because I posted it. Jarod, I think you probably know it, but how many plays Murray State ran that began in Missouri territory?
That began? There was none that started in Missouri.
There was one. They ran a play from the Missouri 47.
Oh, I thought. Oh, I don't know. I was thinking starting the possessions. I thought you.
Oh no, I just mean how many snaps they took across midfield was 1 for the entire game.
Yeah. So, like I said earlier, they only had I guess it's 1 play over the 50, and then they punted. So the fact that they couldn't even nowhere even near field goal range for someone like Blake Craig who did well, and he could kick the ball from I'm guessing his range is somewhere between 52 and 55 right now. I'm just guessing. I don't know. He's got a strong leg, but even Blake Craig, if Blake Craig was their kicker, wouldn't have been in field goal range. So and I know their kicker, whoever their kicker is, good respect to him, but I don't know if he can kick it.
I don't know their kicker because he didn't get on the field.
Exactly. I don't think he can hit 57 yards or whatever out. So defense just played spectacular.
Yeah. And I mean, just I don't know, guys. I completely lost my train of what I wanted to say there. To be quite honest, it's the preseason for us too. I don't know what the hell I was going to say, but excellent effort from the defense, no question about it. I saw at some point Sham had popped up a comment. Somebody asked if I could complete a pass against Murray State. I'm going to 100% say no, I could not. Jarod, could you complete a pass against Murray State? I mean, Brady did have Brady had time back there. That is one thing that Drinkwitz shouted out after the game.
Well, yes, I would have completed a pop pass. I think I would. I wouldn't have been trying to.
That doesn't count. That's not a pass.
Oh, you didn't say that, Gabe.
No, could you complete a pass that went across the line of scrimmage?
Oh, okay, because I was going to say halfback screen is next, but probably. I think 1 out of 10 I could. I think I could on a good day with that offensive line. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we want to debut a new feature here real quick. Before we let Jarod go in a few minutes, we're going to have voicemails. Like, I don't know, guys. I honestly don't know if Sham has listened to these. I don't know if we know what they're going to say. I have no idea what to expect, but we want to involve you guys in the show this week or this year. Again, speakpipe.com/powermizzou. If you want to leave us a voicemail, it's incredibly easy. So Sham, just hit us with one, man, pick a voicemail, play it, and we'll see what happens.
Hey, Gabe. Joe from New York. Look, we've said all offseason, Murray State, this is not a game where you learn anything good. You can only learn things that are bad. You're up 35-0 at half, so obviously taking care of business to some extent. But if you're looking for things to be concerned about, honestly, what I would be concerned about is Brady Cook's got about 145 passing yards on something like 25 attempts. So, only averaging about 6 yards per attempt. That's not great, especially considering the caliber of the opposition. Luther Burden's only got 39 yards. Nothing at all from Mookie Cooper in the first half. Nothing at all from Speedy Johnson in the first half. He dropped at least one, and at least one, if not two, he should have caught probably. And Brady doesn't look great on the long ball. So just thoughts on that in terms of, once we get into the meat of the schedule and to a higher quality opponent, if there are things in the passing game you look at as warning signs going forward.
All right. So look, I think that's a fair question, right? Like tonight's passing game at College Station, no, it's not good enough. No. But you don't have to play at College Station until October 5th.
Yeah, I mean, and that's after, and that you play at A&M after a bye week. So again, it's week 1, and Drink literally said this last week. There's going to be some sloppiness, a little things that aren't tuned up quite as well, whether it's penalties. I know I seen a question earlier that said, like, should they be worried about Caden Green? No, shouldn't. I'd say this to someone walking back up here. You rather penalties than sacks, and Brady Cook. Clean pocket. This is the most time he's had.
I'm not sure he was touched tonight.
On roughing the passer. That was it. And so Brady Cook probably hasn't had that much time in his entire career here. That's my guess. So, I mean, you got that. But back to this. No, you shouldn't really be worried. Again, Brady Cook, and I don't know when that voicemail was recorded because the official stats say 19 to 30 for 218 and a touchdown. So, sure, he didn't destroy Murray State through the air, but again, we've already talked about some of those missed deep balls. It's gonna happen, and it happened versus Murray State. You rather them happen versus Murray State than rather the Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and all that stuff. So, yeah, wasn't an A+ performance, but I mean, it was what it was. I mean, they scored 51 points. There's only so much they can do, and they got removed. I think it was a little less than 8 minutes left in the third quarter. He didn't even play the entire game. So, I mean, I definitely take this game with a grain of salt as far as worrying about the offense of the passing game.
And I said last week, or at some point in the preseason on one of our shows, I said, here's what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to walk out. I'm not going to get on a post-game show like I did after Middle Tennessee and hit the panic button because they don't look perfect in week 1 or 2. Because I overreacted to that game last year. And then guess what happened? Missouri actually got better throughout the year, right? So I don't know. I'm not saying this is going to be their worst game of the year, but Eli Drinkwitz has shown an ability for a team to improve throughout the season. This is, again, they knew what this team was they were playing tonight. And I don't care what you tell these guys, like, they know, right? And so I think Missouri deserves credit for the way it came out. And then after a lull for kind of waking back up and saying, all right, let's get this done. But I'm just not going to overreact to anything negative that I saw tonight, because let's let it be a trend before. And I understand some concern about the passing game, but I don't think it's any reason to worry yet.
I would get this if they didn't put up 51 or if the game was closer, but I mean, we're really, really nitpicking to me, right, considering he didn't turn the ball over. He didn't have any near turnover plays. He wasn't touched. He had one time where I remember saying, like, why is he not running? And then he had a play where he ran for about 10, 15 yards, and then he slid. He didn't have no one around him. Like, that was
an excellent slide, by the way. We remarked about it at the time.
Yes, because 2 years ago he would have dove.
Right. Or just ran straight into the dude.
He would have, instead of going straight, he would have made a turn to find the contact. So there's really nothing we could do. Somebody said he did have a near turnover. What turnover?
I don't know. I don't remember it. I'll be honest, though. I wasn't paying super close attention in the second half. I was doing a million different things. Want to shout out real quick Andrew Kessel for the super chat. Again, we never ask for him, guys. Always appreciate him, though. If you want to make sure you're going to get on the show, hey, a couple bucks here and there isn't going to hurt your cause. Andrew, appreciate it. Best part of being 1-0 is the chance to be 2-0. And that's right. Like, I think tonight's game was actually pretty perfect because you won in dominating fashion, but there are enough things that Eli Drinkwitz is going to be able to point out on film and to tell his guys, if you play that second quarter against, Oklahoma, Auburn, maybe even Mississippi State, BC, like, it'll burn you. You can't play that second quarter in a real game. So there's enough for him to go back and point out. But, I mean, he seemed pretty happy to me after the game.
This was usually Drink is even in their dominant wins last year, he'd be like, we need to do this, we need to do that, like, this is unacceptable. He was just like, yeah, there's a couple things we need to clean up, and we'll look at that in the film room and stuff like that. But he was just relaxed the whole interview. And you guys were saying that pass to Cooper over the middle was a pass that could have been intercepted. Ironically, and Gabe came back, that was the one play I said I didn't see. I just saw the ball hit the ground, and he was just like, did he mean to throw that? So I didn't see that. So if that happened, that happened. But he said I had a decent game.
Hey, I want to say one way to get your comment on the show is to super chat. The other way is to start it with Gabe was absolutely right. With the Mizzou will score a touchdown before 7:11 p.m. So I just want that pointed out. Gabe was absolutely right about something. It may not happen again this year.
I've also seen people saying injury updates. So I've seen that people say said Weiss. You seen something with Weiss? I thought I seen Luther on that.
I thought I saw Luther too. The question was about Weiss. I didn't remember Weiss leaving. The question was about Weiss.
I didn't see Weiss. I seen Luther on their last possession. I think he kind of just a tad gimpy.
Last possession of the first half. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So just a tad.
It was on Brady's touchdown run.
Oh yeah, exactly. And then Brett Norfleet, Drink didn't specify injuries or whatever. He said that he'll think those guys will be fine. I mean, we're not doctors and we're not trying to pretend to be, but from what it looked like when he came out and he was it
was clearly a shoulder.
I would guess probably a dislocation. And by the time we see him go into the locker room, he was walking normally. So that's our guess. We don't know.
Right. Well, and the thing with the shoulder, and I don't know the difference between dislocations and separations and all that, but there are shoulder injuries that hey, it pops out and they pop it back in and you can go play, and guess what? It's going to pop out again until you get it fixed, but you can play with it. And we are 200 yards away from the field, but by the time he was walking into the locker room, like you said, he was walking like this, not like this. And there's a difference there. He raised a hand, which he couldn't do. So, and Drink said he didn't anticipate anything being wrong. So we'll see. We'll get updates on that next week. Eli's pretty forthcoming with injury information. The SEC also announced today that their availability reports need to happen 3 days before the game. So next Wednesday, we'll get a report saying who's in, out, all that. The only guy that didn't play tonight that we know of is Jamarian Wayne. So we're going to let Jarod go in just a couple minutes. Before we do that, Sean, why don't you hit us with one more voicemail? Because I know Jarod wants to hear from the people. I know he wants to see how the voicemail line goes. So hit us with one more.
Curious to get your take on the defense so far. Obviously, schematically, athletically, an inferior opponent here, but obviously wanted to see what you saw out of the too deep on the defense and what it looks like moving forward. Say there were some injuries otherwise.
Yeah, I think,
Curious
we saw a lot of depth.
Defense so far. Obviously, schematically,
yeah, we saw a lot of depth. And Jarod, it just occurred to me, it didn't really occur to me during the game. I'm sure they blitzed at some point, but I don't really remember looking down and saying, oh, they brought a lot of guys there.
Me neither. I don't. The thing that when I think about the defense and how they played today was laterally, sideline to sideline. Those guys were moving left and right. It just felt like there was speed everywhere. And then in the middle, when they were trying to run up the middle, there was no middle. And see, that's the benefit of having 330-pound guys like a Chris McCullen and Christian Williams and Marquise Gracial and those guys plugging that up. So when those guys, they're trying to hit that dive and they see what's there, they try to go outside. And now you got a Corey Flagg, Tristan Newsom, Marvin Burks, who had there was just one hit. I just remember I was like, that's a video game type of hit. So I just remember thinking there is actual speed at a lot of places.
Yeah, Marvin Burks is going to hurt somebody by the end of the year. Toriano Pride made a heck of a play on the pick. Zion Young, I think he's a monster. And here's a guy that we talked to post-game that, I don't really think anybody much talked about him. I think Corey Flagg's a really nice pickup for this team.
Absolutely. And his versatility, again, he's their backup Mike. So anything happens to Chuck, he will be the green dot. But he also can play well. And his speed showed that he can do that as well. So the fact that he was kind of zooming around, he made that was 3rd and 1 stop, at some point, and it was really nice tackle. I told you the way I remember him was, I think it was a play at Miami versus Clemson to seal the game. I think it was Clemson last season to seal the game, and he did exactly that. He got to the sideline. I think he pressured the quarterback, tackled the quarterback, something like that, ended the game. So this is something Coach DJ Smith, the linebackers coach, told me right before fall camp that they liked about Corey is pretty violent hitter, and he's got the speed to go with it, and then he's versatile.
Yeah, Tristan Newsom had a tackle for loss. Khalil Jacobs can fly. They just got plays from a lot of different guys. Marquise Gracial had 4 tackles. So I think they got contributions from all over. And
question for you, real quick. Do you remember a defensive penalty?
No, I know for a fact one time I said that's PI in the middle of a play and they didn't call it on Missouri.
Okay.
But I don't remember one.
So again, it's kind of like how I started this pod. You could argue the defense had a better night than the offense. They didn't have no mistakes.
I absolutely think so.
They didn't have no. Well, obviously they can't fumble, but they didn't have no turnover. They didn't have no play where you're just like, you don't want that on tape, And so that just great game. That's all you can really say.
They didn't give up a 10-yard play. They gave up 85 total yards the entire game. I mean, it was like you can pick out things on offense that you say, yeah, they left some points on the board, all that. The defense was dominant start to finish. I think no question the defense had a better night than the offense. So Jarod's got a ton of stuff to write. I know you got all kinds of stuff, so we're going to let you go do that. I don't know, man. Anything you want to say before you go, or do you just want to go?
I'll just answer the question. Somebody says right above this one, did Williams Nwaneri play? He did play. He was with the 3rd string at the end of the game with the freshmen and all that stuff, so he did play. That is my closing thing. I'll see you guys later. Tons of stuff coming.
All right, Jarod, appreciate it. I'm going to hang out here with you guys. So this is kind of how we're going to do this year. Have Jarod in for the first half hour, 40 minutes. He's got a lot of stuff to write. I'm not writing a column tonight. I don't have a column on this. So I'm going to hang out with you guys, answer some voicemails, respond to some messages, all that. Want to remind you once again, and it's been going across the bottom of the screen, but our post-game shows all year long going to be brought to you by our friends at Yuengling. They're back on board for another year. Really appreciate that. It's America's oldest brewery. You could visit them in Tampa. You can visit them in Pottsville, Pennsylvania. I'm assuming most of you guys probably aren't able to do that right now. So the easier thing to do is go to any liquor store, grocery store, gas station, whatever in the state of Missouri that carries Yuengling. Pick some up. You got Flight, you got Lager. Oktoberfest is going to be out pretty soon. Sometime in the next few months, I've heard a rumor the Black and Tan might make an appearance in the Show Me State. So check out all those. I hope you guys are cracking one open. I do not have one. I'm drinking a water because I'm sitting here in the press box. But hope you guys have a Yuengling, and we're going to hang out for a little while. So, Sean, let's go back and we'll hit a few more voicemails and I'll kind of answer some questions there, and then we'll get some more questions out of the chat room.
Hey, Gabe, I'm just going to tell you, I think Eli's got this whole thing figured out. I think Brady's going to fix the deep ball, and I think we're going to go to the college football playoff every year. I think we're going to Atlanta. I'm going to buy a timeshare in Atlanta because we're going to go back every year for at least the next 2 decades. So if you want in on that timeshare, let me know. But it's we're going to probably win the national championship, I would say. So that's all I got.
There you go, guys. 20 consecutive playoff appearances beginning with the national championship this year. That requires no comment. Next call. Maybe we don't have another call right now. Sean, if we got a call, feel free to play it and I'll shut up. But no, look.
What a game.
Okay.
Thursday before Labor Day. Great time for our first game.
Hey, Gabe. Joe from New York.
Okay, we've heard Joe from New York. So yeah, we're good. I don't know what that little see, guys, this is what we want to do. We wanted to bring back the fun for you. We wanted to force me to have to react to what the hell was that? I don't know what's going on. I know you guys enjoy the calls, so this is kind of a good little. I don't have the ability to take a live call in the press box, so it's kind of a nice little compromise for you. You guys can see me having absolutely no idea what's going on for a minute, and that's no comment on the production value, anything. That's just a comment on, hey, when you hit play on a voicemail, I haven't heard these voicemails. I've been working for the last 3.5 hours during the game, so I don't know what's going to happen. So, but I think overall, a good night for Missouri. All right, we got another call. I think we got another voicemail to go to.
Hey, Gabe. Tucker here down in Joplin, Mo. Just got done watching the first half. One thing I always like about the first game of the year is seeing kids, especially younger players, like for the first time all year. And one thing that stood out to me in the first half, Marvin Burks, man, that kid looks the part. And I know he played some last year, and I know he didn't really have any major impact plays, but just watching him on a couple plays, he looks noticeably bigger than last year. And he's wearing number 1 like Carlisle, and he looks about as big as Carlisle, but much, much faster, like just the way he moves fluidly. Like that kid looks like an NFL safety. And I'm just excited to watch him play. Having like a playmaker back in the secondary like him. I mean, he looks the part and he moves well. And I don't know, like I said, he didn't really have any major impact plays, but I just like watching him. So just kind of wanted to point that out. That's about it. Thanks.
All right, appreciate that call from Tucker. Tucker's a longtime subscriber and caller. I want to remind you, if you want to leave us a voicemail, speakpipe.com/powermizzou. We'll try to get him on the show. Yeah, Marvin Burks, he had one play. I know because I tweeted about it that, like, I think they moved the chains. They converted, but Marvin Burks made somebody pay dearly for it. He, like I said, he's going to knock somebody out of a game at some point this year. He is bigger. The Carlisle's comparison is an interesting one. JC was a big dude, man. He's playing linebacker in the NFL. I don't know if Marvin's quite that big yet. but I think he's faster than JC was. By the way, JC was here tonight. He and Tony Temple banged the drum to start the game. Carlisle, Harrison Mevis, and Rakestraw were introduced during a timeout. So, yeah, Marvin Burks is one of the guys that I think you should be excited about. He and Joseph Charleston were the starters at safety. Sidney Williams came in and played. Trevez Johnson and Dalen Carnell are in there as well. Carnell's obviously more the star position, but I thought Marvin played well. I think he's a guy that you look at and offers you some things that you definitely like. And he's a true sophomore, guys. This is like maximum it's his 13th or 14th game played, and it's probably not quite that many because I think there were probably some games early last year that he didn't really get in. So if we can maybe hit back in the chat room, see what some of our live folks are saying. Ryan Owens, talking about Burks for sure. Heat-seeking missile. So Sham, if you want to run through and just kind of throw up some of the comments from the live people, because I appreciate it. Again, we got almost 300 people here hanging out live with us at nearly midnight on a Thursday night. Freeway Jarod, excellent point. Should have brought this up sooner. Brought this up in my post-game thoughts, and should have brought it up sooner on this show. Josh Manning looked good. Josh Manning looks like he belongs. You want to talk about a guy that looks big. Josh Manning looks like a big receiver. Jarod described him at one point during the game tonight as a faster Theo Weiss. That might be accurate. I think there is a decent chance by the end of this season that Joshua Manning is third on this team in receptions. And it's a great lesson in, he came in as a 4-star kid out of Lee Summit. He didn't really play last year. I think he had 35 offensive snaps. Guy that, hey, Marquise Johnson clearly jumped in front of him. Daniel Blood kind of jumped in front of him last year. Guy that all of a sudden you're looking at this 3-man receiving class, and he was third. And then Mookie comes back, and Norfleet comes back, and Luther comes back. And it would have been real easy for Josh Manning to say, yeah, I want the ball, man. I'm going to go somewhere. Instead, and look, this is not an insult to anybody that transfers. Portal's fine. Missouri benefited greatly from a bunch of kids who did transfer tonight. So in no way is this a commentary on anybody that chooses that route. However, Josh Manning is a good example that there is another route. And that other route is you come in the offseason, you work your ass off, and you get better, and you get more opportunities. I'd be willing to bet that Josh Manning played almost as many offensive snaps tonight as he played all of last season. Played somewhere 35, 36 last season. That number sticks in my head. I bet he played 25 tonight, 20-25. So, he'll probably surpass his season total in week 2 this year. Faster Tommy Saunders. I'm not sure that is Tommy caught everything, man. I'm not sure I can go there yet with Josh Manning. Had 3 catches tonight. I need to see more than 3 catches out of Josh before I'm going to slap the Tommy Saunders label on him. Case Nicholson asking about Kewan Lacey. Is he running back 3 by the end of the year? It's too soon to make that judgment. Jamal Roberts only got 3 carries tonight. Clearly, they wanted to play all 5. And Kewan Lacey got a little more opportunity. But Jamal Roberts got in the end zone. He's got a year of experience. I'm not going to answer this with yes, he is. But I'm going to say it's a possibility. Kewan Lacey showed some things tonight. And I think it was Corey Flagg pointed out in his postgame. He called Lacey his twin because they both wear number 11. And he said he really liked what Lacey did when he was in the game. And he showed a little wiggle. Might have scored a touchdown if Missouri didn't get a false start there on, 3rd and goal at the 4, ended up kicking the field goal, which, by the way, just going to say, there's probably a few people out there who are really happy with that field goal and probably some other people who are really unhappy with that field goal. The difference between 48-0 and 51-0 might not be a big difference, but it was to some people tonight. I'll just say that. We show you not trying to talk down on Brady. Love the thought of Drew Lock being the QB with this team. Yeah. Against week 1, Brady's this team's quarterback. He earned that last year. If we would have judged Brady 2 weeks into last year, there were people saying, yeah, that's fine, Brady, but we need Sam Horn. And then Brady just got better, man. So not his best performance, but he wasn't bad. He missed a few deep throws. I think on the short stuff, he was mostly accurate. He threw one too hard to Norfleet early on, but that's first drive jitters, I think. They still ended up scoring. Again, didn't really put the ball in harm's way. Used his legs a couple times. That's the other thing. This was a very controlled game. I don't think there was a lot of scrambling and a lot of, hey, Brady, go do this with your legs and get outside the pocket and all that. I understand a little bit of, hey, not his best game. Like if I'm grading Brady tonight, I don't know, B effort. It's fine. He's played better. But it just doesn't concern me yet. You'd love to see him come out and throw for 380 and 4 touchdowns next week. Maybe he will. I don't know. I felt like there was a real effort tonight to get Marcus Carroll and Nate Noel going. Or get some of these new guys. I mean, every guy we talked to in the postgame press conference was a transfer. And then, we talked to Nate Noel, we talked to Corey Flagg, we talked to Chris McClellan, and there was one more I'm forgetting off the top of my head. Could have talked to Toriano Pride, didn't. Could have talked to Marcus Carroll, didn't. But the point is, there are a lot of new guys, and I think tonight, there was a conscious effort made to get some of those new guys involved. And I think especially with all the talk of how do you replace Cody Schrader? How do you replace Cody Schrader? How do you replace Cody Schrader? I think there was an effort to show that, hey, Nate Noel and Marcus Carroll can replace Cody Schrader. Brady Cook, I'm going to look up his line real quick. He threw 30 passes in 2.5 quarters. So it wasn't like Missouri didn't throw the ball. They threw the ball 41 times and ran it 37. But Brady averaged little over 7 yards an attempt, about 7.25 yards an attempt, which is a pretty solid number. Had the 1 touchdown, no interception, 63% completion rate. You'd like to see a little bit higher. Quarterback rating was 135. Drew Pine came in, did a real nice job, 10 of 11, 82 yards, 153.5 rating. So overall, again, yes, the passing game can be better, but I don't see any reason to be overly concerned about it. I mean, Miguel says he was sloppy. I don't know. I guess. But I think, and I'll be honest, I think you guys look for more negatives than I do. I look up and I see 51-0. I see a game that was over 5 minutes in, and I'm not really looking for things that are these going to burn Missouri in week 7. I think a lot of you guys are, and it's not a criticism of you. I'm more focused on this game, and okay, I got to do a post-game show, and I got to get some video up, and we got to get photos up, and Jarod's got a notebook. So I'm not necessarily looking at a play in the early 4th quarter or the late 3rd quarter and saying, well, if they do that and in Tuscaloosa, they're going to be in trouble. Whereas I think you guys maybe look a little bit differently at it. And like Tyler says, yeah, needs to work on deep ball. I don't even know if it needs to work on it so much as needs to hit one. Like he hit him last year. And if you guys remember last year, we looked at the first 2 games of the year, and there were people legitimately saying, I don't know if they can throw the deep ball. Well, and then Kansas State happened, and there was no more real worry about the deep ball, right? And the other thing you got to remember is timing. Now, I know he has everybody back. I know he's played with these guys before, but this is their first live game in 8 months. And like I pointed out earlier, one of those deep balls, it looked to me like Brady was throwing a ball as if Mookie Cooper was going to run to the post, and Mookie kind of cut across short of the end zone. And so it just looked like a little confusion there. And I think those are things that get worked out over the course of time. That's my guess. Again, if we're talking about these things in, week 6, okay. Also want to make sure to shout out Freeway Jarod for the super chat. This came in a while ago. Again, we're sorting through all kinds of comments, 300 viewers, voicemails, Sham's getting his feet wet learning this with you guys. So did not want to miss the super chat. Want to make sure to get that on. Jarod, really appreciate you, man. I know you're here and frequently do that for us throughout a lot of our live shows. So want to thank you for that. And anybody else that wants to contribute that way, that's cool. But if you just want to, hey, be a part of it, throw up a comment, please do hit the like button. Please subscribe to the channel. The other reason to subscribe to the channel, honestly, guys, is we don't know exactly when we're going to go live after these games. We were down doing post-game interviews for about 35, 40 minutes. So if you subscribe, rather than having to sit on here for 40 minutes, you're going to get an alert when we go live. Marcus Burke says, impressed that Batoon worked a lot of new guys into a cohesive unit. They knew what they were doing and made plays. I think that's an underrated comment there. What we didn't see defensively was like any real confusion. I don't remember a play thinking, hey, like two guys almost ran into each other. They didn't know where to line up. I don't think they used any timeouts on defense tonight. And with as many new guys as they had, and I bet about half the guys in the two deep are new. That is a compliment to Corey Batoon, no question. Now, look, somebody told me long ago, a college football season is 12 tests. And just because you got an A on one, it doesn't mean anything next week. So Corey Batoon's got to come do this again, sure. But for tonight, absolutely A. Every level of the defense, defensive coaching, 100%, unquestioned A. Didn't miss a beat. And that does bring up another thing I do want to point out because I thought it was one thing that we talked about at the time, said, just file that away. Don't love it. So Missouri's going down. They're inside the 5-yard line. After, I believe it was a roughing the passer penalty. They get set up at the 3-yard line with 17 seconds left. Clock starts. Brady Cook starts walking towards center like he's going to change the play. End result, throws an incomplete pass, only 5 seconds left on the clock. So Missouri used a timeout with the clock stopped. And so at that point, I'm in the press box going, what the hell is he doing? That is terrible clock management, terrible game management by Eli Drinkwitz, right? Well, Drinkwitz said after the game, so they've got this new helmet communication. And the helmet communication, they were telling Brady after the penalty, you've got to go, 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 because the clock's going to start. And Brady thought they were calling a check. And so a little bit of confusion. Brady walked toward the line, started to change the play when they were saying, you got to move, you got to speed it up. And so the communication there, the new helmet communication stuff, cost Missouri a few seconds. And it looked on first glance like, hey, man, somebody really screwed up there. It was just really more of a kind of a new technology issue and all that. They ended up scoring on a running play with no timeouts with 5 seconds left. And Eli Drinkwitz said he had told the guys, hey, we're up 28-0. We're not kicking a field goal. We're going to score. He said he told Kirby Moore called the 2-point play. That's what Kirby Moore called. It worked. If it wouldn't have worked, if Brady had gotten tackled at the 2-yard line and they'd gone into halftime 28-0, I'm sure there would have been some boos and maybe some media members tweeting, what the hell are you doing? All that, but he explained both those things after the game, which is why the post-game stuff is valuable. Nick said both sides of the ball felt fast, extremely fast, nearly blue blood level of athleticism. I will agree with the first half of that sentence. I thought Missouri looked like it had speed. I think Missouri clearly has more guys than it has had in a while that could play for pretty much anybody in the country. I hesitate on this only because the team on the other side of the ball was not particularly fast or athletic. I talked to Neil Bradley, Murray State's radio play-by-play guy, on one of our shows earlier this week, and he said, the first thing I noticed about last year's team at 2-9 in the Missouri Valley Football Conference, we were slow. Well, that's slow in an FCS conference. And so you compare that to the SEC. My only point being is not to denigrate Missouri. I agree with the overall comment that I think they're pretty fast, pretty athletic. I think like Khalil Jacobs, like we said, can fly. Marvin Burks, Marquise Johnson, we know can move. Nate Noel, Marcus Carroll was faster than they've got guys that can run, no question. I just want to see them in comparison to somebody else, because what you don't know is how many of those guys looked faster than maybe they will look in 5 weeks because the team on the other side was Murray State. I mean, there was one time, and it was early. It was first quarter. the Murray State quarterback took off running toward the sideline on 3rd and 7. And I just immediately said, well, this isn't going to work. You can't do that against an SEC defense when you are a Murray State kid who transferred from the South Dakota School of Mines and Technology last year. It's just not going to work. So, even Boston College has and his name slipped in my mind, but they've got a really athletic quarterback, and he probably can make some plays that couldn't be made tonight. So I agree. Overall point, they look fast, they look athletic. Let's also wait and kind of see him against somebody else. All right, let's Sean tells me we got new voicemails, so let's go back and we got a couple of them. Hit me with one of those, Sean.
Hey, Gabe, how's it going? This is Josh calling from Rapid City, South Dakota, your old stomping grounds. Glad you're opening the phone lines again for the post-game show this season. Really excited for this football season. Hope you're doing good. Sorry if this has already been covered. Apologies in advance if it has. But one mental note that I took watching this game tonight was that I think it's going to be extremely hard for a guy like Luther Burden to be in the running for the Heisman Award or even the Biletnikoff. Reason being because there's just so many guys in this offense and there's so many options. They're going to spread the ball around. I remember the first drive where they started to give Marcus Carroll carries, and you watch him barrel through dudes after Nate Noel looked really good. It's like, yeah, this running back room is going to get a lot of touches this year. Both those guys are going to get a lot of run. And then you're watching the receivers, and it's like, oh, Mekhi Miller, almost forgot about him. He made a huge catch. Mookie made a huge play to begin the second half, and you're like, oh, my God, I almost forgot we had Mookie Cooper. You got Marquise Johnson. You got Theo Weiss. Drink is going to want to get the ball to all these guys to keep them happy within the offense, and because of that, I think it's going to be really hard for Luther to be in the running for any awards this year just because of how deep this offense is. Thanks, Gabe.
Totally
hey,
agree
Gabe,
with that.
Also, this is Josh calling from.
Also want to say we have found a third way to guarantee you to get on the show. Call from Rapid City, South Dakota, where I spent 5 years before moving here to Power, Mizzou. Met my wife, had a kid, all that. Excellent place. Family still lives up there. So if you're from Rapid City, South Dakota, we're going to put you on the show. That's a rule. We're going to do that going forward, but agree with everything Josh said there. A lot of guys on this offense. And look, I've never thought the Heisman stuff with Luther was realistic for a few reasons. First of all, there's a lot of guys there. Second, if Luther has a big year, you know who else has a big year? Brady Cook. You know who gets Heisman votes? Quarterbacks on top 10 teams. Brady Cook's the more likely guy to win a Heisman at Missouri than Luther. That doesn't mean he's a better football player. He's not. Luther's the best football player on the team, is his first-round draft pick, no matter what his numbers are this year, all that. But win a Heisman, it's more likely for your quarterback than it is for your wide receiver. Also, it's just really hard for a wide receiver to win a Heisman. I mean, Luther tonight had 3 catches for 39 yards on 5 targets. 23 yards after catch. Luther can do some magical things. But, he was back at punt returner, didn't have a chance to return one. Fair caught one. Couple went over his head. Couple didn't get anywhere close to him. The opportunities are so limited that you almost can't miss one, right? So Luther tonight has 39 yards. Well, if you're talking about one to average 100 yards a game, well, that means next week you got to have 161. Every game where, and that's not to say Luther didn't play well, anything. And I am still a little curious about his health. Again, Drinkwood said no concerns on anything. He's not worried about anything going forward. So got to believe that means Luther's okay. But we all saw what you guys saw too, kind of limping off a little bit. Now, maybe he got a little Jeremy Maclin in him where he just moves slow and always looks a little banged up. We'll see. But, Luther Heisman, no. Luther All SEC, absolutely. Luther All American, that should be a goal. Not a goal that you put over the team. Like, hey, if Luther's the third leading receiver on this team, I don't think he will be, but if he is, you know what that means? It means he's getting a ton of attention, and Theo Weiss and Marquise Johnson blew up. Or, hey, if Marcus Carroll and Nate Noel go combine for 2,100 yards rushing, awesome. Point is, move the ball, score points, win games, however you do it. And Luther's going to be a big part of that, no question. Like, I don't think this team can win games in the SEC where Luther has 3 catches for 39 yards. It's going to have to be more than that, but there was also no need for it tonight. So I agree overall with what Josh said. And Josh, appreciate you. I know you're stationed out. I think it's out at Ellsworth, still out near Rapid City. So appreciate everything you're doing. Certainly braver than most of us. Appreciate your service out there, and thanks for the call. And Sean, let's go to the next voicemail.
Wrap.
What do we got? Do we still have one? All right, I'm not hearing that voicemail. So I don't know. We may have had an issue with the phone line, but okay.
Yeah, great game tonight. I watched it with Tony Temple. After the first half, we turned to each other and celebrated with a big hug. I think great things are on the horizon. And Mitch Morse was there. That was exciting too. And it's just going to be a great year. Love the show.
I'd appreciate the call. Guy got to hug Tony Temple. He got to hang out with Mitch Morse, and he got to see a 51-0 win. Sounds like a good night, guys. Right? I mean, sounds like everything went well. Probably was a little hot at the beginning, but other than that, got to hang out with Tony and Mitch and watching Missouri win. So yeah, I don't really have any other comment on that. Sounds like you had a good evening. So appreciate the call. And again, speakpipe.com, Power Mizzou. You want to be part of the show, you can. We're checking that fairly regularly, I think. We've still been getting some calls, and so we're up to like 22 voicemails tonight. So appreciate that part of it. Appreciate all you guys that are here with us live. We've been up close to 300 most of the show. We're at 250 now, a little over an hour in. It's about 12:15 here, overlooking Memorial Stadium. Jarod is hard at work, a couple doors down, and one more shout out to our friends at Yuengling for sponsoring this. Sham behind the scenes. So what I want to do real quick, Sham, is let's just kind of go rapid fire. Just start throwing some comments up. If I see something that catches my eye, I'll go to it. If I see a question, I'll answer it. But let's just kind of get any thoughts on Will Winneri's night. He got on the field. That's good. Got on the field. I didn't really notice him once he was on the field. He didn't do anything. But it's his first game as a true freshman in college, and he's on the field. So I know Jaylen Brown played, Justin Bodford played. A lot of these guys got on the field. D'Angelo Hopkins. First of all, I hope that's actually D'Angelo Hopkins. Do you know what uniforms the team is wearing against Buffalo? They will say Mizzou on them. I promise that. There will be some shade of white, black, or gold. I know that, or yellow. I know that. So, yeah, so we're just going to kind of rapid fire through things. I want titles. I don't care who is responsible for it. Well, H880, I don't know if you heard earlier in the show, somebody called in and he said Missouri's going to the college football playoff 20 straight years. That's 20 years, man. All you need is 5% titles. You're going to be a happy man. What's the thoughts on the weeks till A&M? Look, the truth is Missouri has a preseason. They have 2 weeks that they almost can't lose. There was no way they could lose tonight. I mean, you guys saw it. They could. The two deep could have all been sick and not played, and Missouri was winning this game. They couldn't score on 10 freshmen at the end of the game. They weren't. This was always a win. Buffalo is better than this, but they're bad, guys. They're one of the. They're not a great FBS team. I do know Buffalo played tonight. Buffalo at one point tonight was ahead of Louisiana. I don't know if anybody knows the score, what the final score is. I'm looking it up right now, but Buffalo was at one point ahead of Louisiana. I'm looking up max scores, so give me just a second. Okay, Buffalo beat oh no, it was not Louisiana. It was Lafayette, the Patriot League team. So beat them 30-13. So never mind. I thought that was Louisiana Lafayette. I no longer care that Buffalo beat Lafayette 30-13. Buffalo's a bad football team. Are there worlds in which Missouri could lose that game next week? Maybe. Not many. So you got a 2-week warm-up to games that are a little bit tougher, right? BC and Vandy, They are FBS teams. They can beat Missouri on the right day. A lot of things need to go right for it to happen. It is possible. But you basically got a 2-week warm-up to a 2-week, little bit more strenuous warm-up. And then you get an off week. And then October 5th, here we go. It's kind of weird. We talked about it a lot in the press box tonight. Like, we're playing games. I actually talked to somebody on the field before the game and said, it's good to be back. I said, you're back, but kind of you're not back for a month. And I understand the team can't handle it that way. The team's going to approach every game, say all the right things, all that. I can. Doesn't matter. We got a month before there's a real game. No, I'm sorry. We got 2 weeks before there's a real game. We got a month before there's a game Missouri could lose, barring complete disaster. Everyone brings up a great point. Part of college football peaking at the right time. Again, I listen to the Solid Verbal podcast a lot, and I'm going to steal a line from Dan Rubenstein on there I really like. He says, seasons are a living, breathing thing. Missouri's season last year is a perfect example. The team in week 2 was not the team in week 7, which was not the team in week 11. They got better throughout the season. It's a good thing they did, because if you had played the way you played against Middle Tennessee 10 more times, you were going to get your ass beat a few times. But they got better. They went 10-2. So the team we saw tonight, probably not the team we're going to see in College Station. Probably not the team we're going to see host Oklahoma, in November. So, but overall, I think just good first effort. Some things to fix offensively. They left some points out there. Like, this could easily have been a 71-0 game, without question. Missouri easily left 20 points on the field. Had a turnover, overthrew a couple deep balls. So could have been 70-0. Defense, flawless. But overall, great first effort. Hey, Arkansas did win 70-0. Good for them. I actually had a friend text me in the first quarter when Missouri was up 21-0. And he said, Murray State's not even the worst team I'm watching play an SEC team tonight. Arkansas Pine Bluff is. So I didn't watch any of that game. Good for the Hogs. Sam Pittman might want to bank a few of those points because he might want them back later in the season. But solid first effort from Missouri. Few kinks to work out. Same goes for us, guys. First effort. We're back. We're going to be live with you after every single game this year. We're integrating the voicemails. I know, Sham got his first taste of you guys tonight and what it's like keeping up with the pace of this thing. Appreciate all you guys who were here commenting, watching, all that. Ask you before you leave to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you're listening on the podcast, I'm going to turn this into a podcast as soon as we're done. If you're listening there, just share it on social media, say nice things, all that. We'll cut some of this up later in the week, send some of it out, but we're really going to make an effort to make the post-game shows not only last a little bit longer, but be more interactive and be a thing that makes the experience of subscribing here and watching and all that better for you guys than it was last year. So appreciate the efforts. Appreciate Jarod. He's down right now. Thank you guys for joining us. And one more time on the way out the door, thank our friends at Yuengling. Again, you can check them out at yuengling.com. But the easiest way, guys, just go to a gas station, go to a grocery store, go to a liquor store, whatever. Pick up some Yuengling. Make sure you've got it for the post-game show. Have a drink. Give us a call. Have 12 drinks and give us a call on the next show. But Mizzou, 51-0 winner. We're going to pop this up one more time before we go. 51-0 winner. You now got a full weekend to watch other teams play. And Missouri back in action 9 days from now. Buffalo, September 7th, 6 p.m. here. So thank all you guys for watching. Thank all you guys for listening to listen when this is done. We will be back Monday night with our weekly show. And then also next week on our preview show, I'm going to be talking with Buffalo Athletic Director Mark Allnut. We're going to be doing that next Wednesday. So got a couple shows leading up to next week. Be back with you after Missouri presumably goes 2-0. That's all we got. Stay tuned to the site. Plenty of coverage coming. Talk to you next time.